Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Call the Cops. My name is Officer Jamie Keneally. As always, and I say it all the time, but tonight I really mean it. A really great show in store. Two great guys in studio. And you know what? The story they're about to tell tonight, you may have heard about it or rather read about it. In fact, it was in the Globe recently. I want to say within the past couple of months. But tonight's guest, Joe Fisher, Officer Joe Fisher, and Officer Mark Bruno, hello again, came to the rescue of a woman who decided to make a trip from Canada to Algonquin, Maine, and amazingly, somehow ended up, at what you're looking on the screen there, somehow she ends up in South Boston. She ends up in Andrews Square. Lucky for this woman, she bumps into police officer Joe Fisher, who meets her in front of the Dunkin' Donuts, takes her to the Doubletree Hotel and, at the Bayside Expo. This poor woman can't find a room to save her life. And I got to tell you, folks, you're not going to believe where she and her niece ended up staying. I can tell you this much, it wasn't the Doubletree Inn or Doubletree Hotel. But if you guessed or you think it might have been District C6 in South Boston, I ain't going to tell you that's not a bad guess. But tonight's guests are going to tell you this unbelievable story. You got to hear it to believe it. All right, you're looking at Robert Kraft on the screen now. We want to thank Mr. Kraft. I know, you know, we all know what happened Super Bowl Sunday. I don't want to get into that, but I do want to thank Mr. Kraft once again because he recently stopped by this past year, or within the past year, to speak to a recent class of promotees or supervisors of the police department. Suffice to say, Mr. Kraft had a lot going on. His wife Myra was sick, the league was on strike, and yet he found time to stop by and talk to our future leaders about leadership and what it takes to be a good leader. So thank you for doing that, Mr. Kraft, and of course we wish you won the game. All right, now check this out, and how cool is this? Bobby Valentine, the manager of the Boston Red Sox, recently stopped by District D4 in the South End. Now, I got to say, and I think Joe and Mark can probably echo it, in my lifetime, I've never seen the manager of any sports team stop by one of the stations to say anything. But Bobby V, and you know he's got a tough job, but stopped by. We caught up to him during his visit because we wanted to ask him, of course, Bobby, seriously, you know, why you stopping by to say hello to our guys? And here's what he had to say.
You know, safety is one of the things that we all feel great about by living in this country and being in this great city of Boston, knowing that people, men and women, put their lives on the line to make us safe, to make us feel good when we wake up in the morning is a special thing, and I just was hoping to make the guys feel a little special today, and gals. Well, because I understand it's thankless many times, you know, that 4 in the morning it gets real late. Those 6 o'clock in the morning wake-up calls get real early, and you know, it's a day in, day out grind that a lot of people have to do, and they're doing it for others. So, you know, I'm here to say thank you.
Again, that's pretty cool. Never seen it happen. The best part was when he asked people if they wanted autographs, and guys were like, oh yeah. Yes, please. All right, but again, tonight we're talking about, you know, I don't know what to call it. You can say going above and beyond the call of duty, but I think tonight's guest will correct me. You can call it a tremendous act of kindness. It was that. But again, let me set the stage. We have a woman from Montreal. Quebec, Montreal? Montreal, one of those two. Coming down to Algonquin, Maine. She stops off with her niece. She tries to get a hotel room. No room at the inn. They tell her to go south. She didn't mean to go as south as she did. She ended up in Andrews Square in South Boston. Luckily, Joe Fisher, who's assigned to the K-9 unit, was coming on. Lucky for her, she bumped into Joe. And Joe then took her to the Doubletree Hotel. Unfortunately, no room there. And then this is where the story gets good. Because the woman and her niece said, you know what? No big deal. We'll just sleep in the parking lot here at the hotel. That wasn't good enough for Joe, and he says, I think I got a place for you. Asked them to follow him to District C6 in South Boston, and there's a shot. I believe that's where you work, right? Yeah. Officer Mark Bruno, assigned to how long you been there for?
About 22 years.
Holy cow, brother. You look like a rookie. So, folks, this is where this woman and her niece end up. And again, I just think it's two guys going above and beyond the call of duty. They may tell me differently, but let me introduce tonight's guests and welcome them in. First things first, Officer Joe Fisher, classmate Joe Fisher. Mark Bruno, 22 years on the job. assigned to District C6. Buddy, let's just start with you.
Okay.
So what time are you coming on?
This is, I'm starting at midnight.
All right, so midnight, and this woman, what happens? She approaches you?
Yeah, she sees the cruiser. Yeah. She obviously needs some help. So she approaches me. She's waiting outside. So I come out. She's standing next to the cruiser. Says, I'm figuring she needs some directions. She says, I'm lost. I'm looking for a hotel. Yeah. So I says, okay. See what I can do. Obviously, you get asked directions a lot, so not an uncommon question.
We're good at that. We're good at directions.
Yeah.
So she's looking for help, looking for directions.
So she was looking for a hotel down on Southampton Street, Molina Cass area. So I said, there's a DoubleTree over in the opposite direction. I said, so let me see if I can try and swing you up over there. Yep. So I started to give her the directions, and it turns into a rotary up there, as you know, and then dips down to Freeport Street. Gets a little tricky. So as I'm giving her the directions, I can see the frustration on her face. I can see she's tired. Yeah. She explains she's been on the road for a bunch of hours trying to find a hotel. She can't find one.
Did she get into the whole story with you right there and then and say, listen, you're not going to believe the story, but my day started in Canada?
She did. And you know, taking it half-heartedly, and coming from Canada and ended up in Andrews Square
like
12 hours later.
My day started in Plymouth. What's the big deal?
Yeah. So anyways, I could see the frustration and the exhaustion on her face. So I said, why don't you just follow me over? I'll make sure I get you there, and that way, you know, you can get into bed. So we get in. We drove over. She followed me to the hotel, and we pulled into the parking lot. And I was just going to kind of give the wave. You know, you're all set. Got you to the hotel.
I mean, enough for nothing. It would have been easy to give her directions and say, have a good night. Sure. But you picked up on something. You said, you know what? Follow me, which is a huge deal. Mm-hmm. So she follows you, takes a load off her mind. And I'm thinking, Joe, I think I would have like to see you later. But you stayed because you said something ain't right.
I just wanted to make sure she ended up being okay. So I went into the hotel lobby with her. We went up to the desk, talked to the concierge, and explained the situation. Yep. No rooms at the hotel.
No room at the DoubleTree. I think it's a DoubleTree right there.
The DoubleTree.
The DoubleTree down by the Bayside.
Bayside Expo Center, Freeport Street.
Help me out with this. So she's had the worst luck in the world. No vacancy in Algonquin. No vacancy in Portsmouth. No vacancy, obviously, in Boston and now the Bayside Expo. Just to kind of help people at home figure out what's going on. Why is that? What's the weekend? What's the time of year? And is there a reason she can't find a room anyplace?
Columbus Day weekend. Okay. So it's a busy weekend, fall foliage, college students moving in. Yep. So just in the luck of the draw, not planning ahead, and she couldn't get a hotel room.
She's having a bad night. Yeah. She's having a bad day, to say the least.
So I bring her in. We check no rooms. So I asked the concierge, can you call over to Dorchester, a couple of hotels over there on the boulevard, instead of having to drive all the way over. He was nice enough. He did call. Booked. I said, can you have them check the sister hotel down the street?
Right. Yep.
Full up. I says, oh boy, you know, we're in a real pinch here now. So she's Muriel's her name. She's at her wit's end. She asked the hotel manager, do you mind if we sleep in the lobby? We're so tired. She has her niece with her 14-year-old niece.
And that's a sign of exasperation, where she's just, you know what? Can I just sleep in the lobby?
Yeah.
Does anyone care if I sleep on the couch?
Right.
So she says that, and the clerk or whatever
the manager says, with the other hotel guests, you know, if they complained, I'd be in a spot. So I have to say no. So she said, we'll sleep in the car. Can we stay in the parking lot?
Okay.
So he says, that'll be fine. I understand. You know, I can't help you out with the hotel room, but you know, if you want to stay in the lot,
but you can sleep in my lot.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
What a guy. What a
Hospitality.
Guy. I'll let you sleep in and that's on the house. That's free. Don't worry about that. But so you hear this and you're thinking, something you don't like about that.
Well, she got her young niece with her, 14-year-old niece. And it's not a terrible section of the city, but it's a spot where I know some stuff has happened before. So in my heart of hearts, I'm saying I can't leave this woman and her niece sleeping in a car in a hotel parking lot in a city that they know nothing about. So I running through my head, I said, if she's going to sleep in the car, let me see if I can get her to one of the district police stations. At least that way she's you know, secure in a sense, and I will I can let them
station lot or something around.
And I can let them know that she's there, and they can come out and do a peek check or whatever, you know.
So we're going to C6
over to District 6.
I love it. So and you got some history there. You know some of the people who work there.
I do, and that's why, of course, it was the district we were on. But I know the boss over there, Lieutenant Stephen Chicolo, great guy. I know a lot of the patrolmen.
Some guy named Bruno, I heard.
Mark Bruno.
Okay. I heard he's there too.
Great guy.
So good. All right, there you go.
So good people.
Guys, look
I said, I know I can bring her there
Yep.
and be comfortable leaving her there, and she'll be in good hands.
Now, what time is it now?
This is probably now about 1:45 in the morning.
Okay, so it's late and she's had a long day.
Yeah.
All right. So you pull up to 6.
Pull up to District 6.
You go in the, what do you say? Hey guys, wait out here, or what do you, what's
They had to use the restroom very bad.
Okay.
So I brought them in. Officer Monica Kionas was working, so I said, Monica, the
Monica,
ladies need to use the facilities if you could help out. And she did. She got in the ladies' room, and I spoke with Lieutenant Chicolo, told him the quandary we were in, and told him.
Is he like, Joe, what are you doing?
No.
Or what's he saying to you? Hey, Joe,
No.
you know what? Great, you know, we got you covered.
He's like, you know what? Not a problem. We'll work something out.
All right.
You know, and he's just a great guy, and he knows if I'm coming to him and I need some help.
Yep.
And, you know, it's we've tried every other avenue, and there's nothing left.
And that's an understatement.
Yeah.
Because plenty of avenues have been tried.
So he was nice enough, gracious enough. He told they had a big food spread at District 6. One of the officers had brought in. He offered them some food, and Muriel was a little embarrassed. I think she felt as though she was putting us out. And
well, hit on this. But I don't want to bury this headline because it's great. I mean, it's a woman, Marielle, and her niece. Her niece is 14. Again, from Canada. Let's go to Algonquin, Maine. She's no stranger to travel.
No, she's told me that she's traveled to Africa, multiple continents, multiple countries.
Yep.
I mean, this is how embarrassed she was. She felt as though she needed to explain herself to me. She's a gold member with Starwood Hotels.
So she can stay at any.
She could stay. She should.
Yeah.
She said
5-star hotel.
If there's anyone that should be able to get a hotel, she says, really, it should be me.
Unbelievable.
And that's, you know, and she was on Expedia. She did it all. She was on the internet on her phone. And
But
she
what's
couldn't
funny
get a
is
room.
it's funny. The people she doesn't want. It must, like you said, it must be tough as heck for her to ask for help.
Sure.
Given that history, like I'm a world traveler, I can't believe this happened to me. But she was stuck in a spot, and the fact that you guys are so gracious and understanding, I got to believe that made it a whole lot easier for her to kind of come to grips with the fact that you should have booked a room before you left.
Yep.
Canada. So, and also she's got a little martial arts background that we.
Well, unknown to me, she was or is or was the Canadian Women's Taekwondo Olympic team coach. So, and of course, here I was feeling bad. I didn't want to leave her in a parking lot. She probably could have just
Ma'am,
me in 2 seconds.
I can't leave you by yourself. Something bad could happen.
Right.
All right. So, are you at the station when Joe shows up, Mark?
was.
And you know, what are you thinking? Like, oh,
Well, when Joe explained to me, you know, like I said, we brought the man and Joe talked to the lieutenant. Officer Canones brought him up to the ladies' room, and you know, business is going on as usual. We're getting calls in and out. But it just so happened that night, Officer DeFeo had brought in some food, and he was in there warming it up and stuff, and they didn't want to intrude. I got a call, I left. When I came back, I said, where are the ladies?
Yeah.
I said, they went back out to their car. I said, why?
Yeah.
So I went back out and knocked on the window.
Yep.
I said, what are you doing? She goes, we're just going to sleep. I said, sleep?
She's like, I'm so embarrassed. Just you know, you
and
guys
she
have
felt
done
like she was being
Joe's
a
done
bother.
enough. We don't want to bother anybody.
Yeah, so, you know, I said, listen, I said, we had a lot of food in here, and the lieutenant said to come out here and bring you in. And, you know.
And if I don't bring you in,
right,
I'm going to get in some trouble.
Exactly. So she talked to the niece, and she said, yeah, she was hungry. So they both came in. We sat down. We started chatting with them, asking them what it was like up in Montreal. I believe it was Montreal.
Any
she was
Bruins,
from.
Canadians talk going on?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, a
so,
little bit
you
of
know,
that,
we
I
won't hold the Canadians against you because the Bruins won it, and we were
Yeah,
happy.
right. We're not mad at you because the Bruins beat you.
And,
It's all good.
And she was very, very talkative. You know, we were talking about different things, and she also mentioned that she also trained police up there.
Yeah.
And nice, very nice lady, and she was beside herself that, you know, we opened up our door to her, let her in, and you know, treated her with a lot of dignity and respect for a person who, you know, she had some problems that night because her niece being with her, they were very uncomfortable being outside and not having a place to go. So it was nice that we were able to extend our hospitality out to them. And, you know, at some point in the discussion, we talked about, we can't let you stay in your car.
Yeah. Well, when you hear the story, though, you kind of like, is there a little bit of you saying, wow, lady, why didn't you just book the hotel room before you left? You giving her a little bit of ribbing about that? Or just the story itself? Are you like, geez, this isn't a story we hear every day?
Yeah,
what was your reaction?
I think she was caught off guard. Like Joe said, it was college kids moving in. It was a holiday weekend. It's foliage season. There's a lot of people that come to New England. And, you know, she didn't expect not to be able to get a room from Algonquin down to Boston.
You know what? That's what makes the story so unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, because it's Algonquin, Maine, then Portsmouth, I think she stopped, or so many exits, and then, you know.
Route 1. She did all the
right,
Route 1,
Route 1.
Danvers.
I didn't even think Route,
Yeah,
right, Route 1.
she said she did it all the way to Andrew Square.
But I mean, you know, how lucky was she to bump into you?
Luck, fate, I don't know what you'd call it, but she ended up with the right guy that night, and right group of guys, actually.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
And it worked out for her.
But I mean, we talked about it earlier. Like some people watching might be saying, oh, you know, wow, the police, I'm surprised they did that. I'm not surprised. Being police officers, we hear stories like this a lot. It's not often these stories get told, but they happen every day. The fact that this story was told, which, I mean, were you surprised that it received some of the attention that it has?
Yeah, a little bit. You know, I mean, it's nothing that you go looking for the recognition for. I mean, obviously, A, it's part of your job, and B, it's, you know, taking it, what part of your job, to what degree do you take that part of your job? And then that night I ended up having to take it a little further, you know. But in the end, she wrote a nice letter, and the story got some recognition, and it's nice. It's a great story.
To you know, to people who might say, geez, I'm surprised the police officers did what they did. What would you say to them?
Yeah, I think
Spend a night with us?
Yeah, police
At the
officers,
police station?
police
Come
officers
out one
do
day?
a lot more than people realize. I mean, you know yourself, we have our Patrolmen's Association. We're very charitable with a lot of causes, you name it, autism, cancer, local charities.
Cops for kids with cancer.
Cops for kids with cancer. One of my proudest things is, my proudest thing is helping them out every year. And I mean, you can't say enough about what cops do that doesn't get printed, that people don't know about. And you know, cops are charitable with other cops as well, but we're very good when it comes to extending ourselves out to people that are in need. So it was a nice story. I was glad we were able to help them out. She couldn't have been more grateful that morning, and she says, listen, I really don't know what to say. I'm beside myself. When I tell the people at home where I spent the night, they're not going to believe me. They're going to say, what did you do?
And I wasn't in custody, because a lot of people can spend a night in the police station, but not necessarily
They're
under
going
the
to
best
say, what did you
circumstances.
do, you know?
Let me,
like
to
she
get
was
back to
in
the story, and
lockup.
again, we're showing District C6. There's the station house you're seeing on the screen.
Yeah.
So you go back out and knock on the window and say, hey, get in here.
Yeah.
What makes you go out and say, get in here? I mean, is that, you know,
Because
just the right thing to do?
Because I knew they were tired. Joe said they've been up all day, driving from Maine down to Boston. And, you know, the little girl, I mean, I saw her. I said, I know she's hungry. You know,
She's
so
probably
I
like,
told the
Auntie,
woman,
please, can we go eat?
I said,
You know, let's eat some food.
I told Mariel, I said, Mariel, I says, just come in the station. She goes, I don't want to bother you. That's your food. I said, listen, it's everyone's food. Come in, sit down, chat with us. We'd like to know about Montreal.
How can you say no to this?
Right, what Joe was saying earlier, that's the
hospitable.
Italian in Mark Bruno.
Yeah,
My mother's
that's it.
Italian, so when he said that, I'm like, absolutely, that's the Italian Bruno. So come on, get in here, forget about it. You're eating some food. What was on the menu?
Yeah, we had
it sounds like it was a pretty good spread.
Jimmy brought in some shepherd pie.
Oh, dude.
Some baked macaroni and cheese. Some garlic bread.
And Jimmy, he made this, or he bought it, or
Jimmy made it. Jimmy's a good cook.
Okay.
Yeah.
And these are trays, Jamie. These were
we have big
full,
trays of
full
food.
catering size trays.
Now,
of food,
I hope you were able to get a little chow.
Now, of course, here I am. I'm in the K-9 unit, citywide, and I've been off on something that a service unit handles. You know, so
they're like, "Come on, Fisher, all right, wherever you are."
Luckily, the air had been quiet and no hot calls had come in, so I was able to, you know, kind of see it through until I got her into Mark's hands. But I mean, there was a chance at any point where I was going to have to say, "Listen, I'm sorry, I got to go to a call."
I got to work, man.
And it just worked out.
And you said too, and Mark didn't talk about it, but he also did some other work. Once you told him what was going on, didn't Mark make a couple of calls?
Yep, Mark called a friend down at another hotel to see if
two hotels,
to see if we could even get rooms at that point.
And this is kind of a funny story too. I mean, you get on one hand, you get the clerk who says, "Hey, you can sleep in my parking lot, no problem." But yet now these guys are saying, "I got a couple rooms on reserve, but I can't release them till 3:30."
Right.
So
we checked, and the people came in, the reservation, so there were no rooms.
Okay, so there's nothing to be had.
Yeah.
So how do we go from dinner to, all right, they're going to sleep out in the car, to, wait a second, and I'm thinking you had something to do with this, but you're sleeping here.
Yeah, the lieutenant suggested that, listen, we don't want them out in the car.
Yep.
Let them go upstairs. We'll put them in the community room.
Okay.
So we did that, and we made arrangements with the EMTs to bring in some pillows and some blankets.
There you go.
And,
yeah,
you know, they stretched out across
we're not
a
the
few
fire
seats.
department.
Yeah.
Nothing against the fire department, but you know, I'm wondering, where do the pillows and blankets come from? So EMTs
brought them
bring them
into us, and we brought him upstairs and said, listen, make yourself as comfortable as you can. You know,
They're in an office, couple chairs, desks?
yeah, it's the community service room.
Okay.
I don't have to tell you the furniture's
Yeah,
uncomfortable, but you know something?
Right.
It was better than a car,
Yep.
and you know they were inside, and we felt that they were safe.
Awesome.
And that
And
morning,
that's it, true. I mean, that's absolutely it.
yeah,
They're safe.
that morning, you know, we went up, woke him up before the first roll call, so you know people won't walk up and see them and be surprised. But you know, we told the next duty supervisor what was going on, got them up. She came down, spoke to me. She wanted everyone's names. I says, fine. So I gave her everything. And she wanted to go down the north end, see a little bit more. And, you know, that's my neighborhood. So anyway, she thanked me for everything. And, you know, I told her I'd personally take her down there once I got off my shift if
buddy,
she
I love
wanted.
you.
She
That's
goes,
awesome.
you've already done enough.
Yeah.
And she says, you know, I really had a really nice time.
Yeah.
It was nice of you guys to do this. And like she said, when she gets home, people won't believe when she tells them the story.
And when you go to wake them up, are they sleeping like babies, or
They had a good night's sleep.
or were they just?
They were comfortable. When
Yeah.
they got up, they were well rested, and you know, they were able to wash up and stuff, and they were just happy. And she was going back up to Montreal that day, and like I said, she couldn't say enough about the Boston police.
So obviously, guys, you made a difference that day. No question about it. I mean, this job, some days it can be a pain in the butt, but there are some days where you get a moment where you're like, you know what, I'm glad I was in the right place. But not only you guys in the right place, you do all the right things. You go above and beyond, you take that extra, you go that extra, you know, extra yard or step. And the philosophy we touched on in the hallway, you know, what makes you do that?
The golden rule that they teach you in the academy.
Yeah.
If it was your mother or your sister or your aunt or your father or your brother, how would you want them treated and what would you want the next guy to do? Exactly what I did. Make sure they were okay, make sure they were safe, and got them a place to sleep.
You feel like you did just that?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, no question. Marky, you feel the same way?
You know, every now and then you get a thank you, and it's what makes the job worthwhile. So for me, I was glad I did it. I have a daughter at home. If they were in another city, my wife, her, I'd want those police officers to extend the same courtesy. And, you know, it's just human nature.
And it goes around and it comes around.
It does.
Show flew by. Probably because we had some great guests on tonight. Two guys who have no trouble talking and telling a great story. Folks, I hope you enjoyed watching the show as much as I did listening to it. My thanks to Joe Fisher. My thanks to Officer Mark Bruno. My thanks to you for watching. Thanks for watching Call the Cops. Have a great week. Until next time, be safe, everybody. Good night.